So next up in my countdown to Halloween, me being Yinka from Sabata, of course, is a British film from 1974 starring the mighty horror legend Peter Cushing and the Blaxploitation legend movie star Calvin Lockhart. And this is, I would definitely say, a lesser known film called The Beast Must Die. I don't know, like, as I'll say elsewhere, I'm sure, like, there's every film, almost in a way, every film, or almost every film in this list could be my favorite film. This is one of the ones that could be my favorite film because there's so much in the film that I kind of relate to. I mean, I'd say this for sure, like, if they did a remake, I would definitely want to star in the Calvin Lockhart role because it just speaks to me, you know. You've got a black lead character with a mansion out in the country. In the book, I discovered the book being There Will Be No Darkness by James Blish. It's actually a Scottish country mansion, though I'm not sure if the protagonist in the original is black, but in the film, it most certainly is. So I don't know, like, I just like that idea. Anyway, moving on. The film is quite unique because it's a werewolf film, but it's also a whodunit. It's, you know, it's funny, comedic, times schlocky, but it is a little bit. See, I have to say something at this point. So, like, with me, I grew up on horror films. As I said in the first clip, horror films are like my first love. Like, horror films kind of were my babysitter. I might get into that another time. So I've been watching horror films since I was like tiny, and you know, some of these, including this one, I first saw when I was tiny. So, and I hesitate because it's kind of weird when I think about it. But it took a lot to horrify me, to scare me then. So it was a little bit scary. But you know, I've been around people, you know, adults watching horror films, and you know, they get freaked out. So I don't get freaked out. Anyway, so what I'm really getting at is that this is not the scariest film, but it's got a little bit of it in there. It has suspense. It's definitely supernatural, though the leaning of the film is actually trying to prove the scientific basis behind werewolves, or lycanthropy, or how do you pronounce it? Lycanthropy? Lycanthropy, doesn't really matter. But all of that is sort of by the by, because you got this sometimes hilarious ensemble cast. You know, it's definitely got a touch of that, you know. Well, like I said, it's a whodunit, you know. I don't want to mention certain authors because I don't like the authors, but it's got that vibe to it. And as the film progresses, you know, you start to think, it could be this person, it could be that person. And then they have this weird thing called a werewolf intermission, where you get the chance, I think it lasts for like a minute. It's a bit like Countdown or something. Anyway, where you got a minute to figure out who the werewolf is. So it's kind of interactive, pre-social media, pre-internet. But other than that, I mean, effects-wise, it's not amazing. It's definitely not amazing. I had written some notes that said, like, you know, due to the constraints of the time, they weren't able to produce, you know, a level of effects. And I would say that's to a large degree true, but yeah, I would stick with that because it's almost 10 years prior to something like American Werewolf in London. Maybe a little bit more than that, but actually a little bit less than that. But yeah, I don't think they had the effects available. But I think it's also a budget thing. That's what I was really going to get to. I think it's not just technology. Anyway, there's a lot of things that are kind of different in the film. The approach the film takes is quite, as I say, it's refreshing. You don't quite know where you are a lot of the time in the film in terms of it has twists, but not twists that you see coming necessarily. So I think it's a great film. I really enjoyed it, and I enjoy it every time I watch it, even though I can see flaws in it now. I really wish someone would remake the film, even if I'm not in it. But yeah, that's number 2. Beast Must Die. Well, that's the second film on the list. I guess you could actually call it film number 4 in the countdown. All right, peace.